Drink it in, man.
Cornbread! Cornbread! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Cornbread! Cornbread! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Drink it in, man. Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, Detroit Koolaid. Drinkers, what's going on, everybody? Let me fill up your glass real quick.
Drink it in, man.
Side of cornbread.
Cornbread!
Make it a double.
Cornbread!
And I'll quickly apologize right off the top. I mean, you guys know we've been doing this show for 4 or 5 years, however long it is, 500 some episodes. I mean, rarely, if ever, do I miss an episode? Is an episode late? I think there were a couple times I boycotted doing an episode because the Lions were terrible under a former regime, but now they're rolling Super Bowl contenders, even favorites on a lot of platforms I'm hearing now. So obviously I'm trying to bring you that Detroit Kool-Aid. This week got a little crazy. Life's been a little bit crazy, but excited to be on the mic here talking Lions, talking training camp getting started. Lots to get into, so let's do this. First thing, like I say, camp got started. Lots of excitement, lots of talk about this football team. Lots of players saying our goal is a Super Bowl. That's it, straight up. And I absolutely love that mentality, that approach. You've heard me say a couple times on this show that there were a lot of things that went right last year. I mean, I've been coming on here for 5+ years. I've been living my life every year saying, this is our year. The Lions are rolling. They got players. And it was always hope. It was always wishing. It was always maybe everybody will have the year of their life and things will go well, or propping up players that really weren't that good. Now we got football players all over the field on offense, defense. We got great coaches, top to bottom. Everybody's motivated to get back. But with all that being said, you're not gifted anything. It was a magical run last year. Win the division, home playoff game, beat Matty Staffy. Go have another home playoff game, beat Baker Mayfield. Because he ain't that great. That's been said many times on this show.
I'm like, that's Baker Mayfield right there. Baker. Yeah. I just want to let you know. He sucks, okay? Yeah, there you go. Mark it down.
It was marked down years ago. He sucks. I obviously loved Baker Mayfield for years, along with Odell. But took them to the house at home, and then somehow, I still can't figure out how we came up short in the NFC Championship game, up 17. But like I say, I feel like we're just everyone thinks we're just gonna march back there, win it, be in the Super Bowl. That's the biggest game in all of sports. 2 teams get there every year. So I love hearing the hype. I love people being excited about it, but hate to be like a coach, but let's take it one game at a time, one practice at a time. And the big thing you got to look out for are injuries. And right off the start of training camp, John Kaminsky. No, I'm not going to use his nickname because I still don't understand why it makes sense. It's not a very good nickname. It's one of the few nicknames I don't like from Dan Freaky Campbell. But John Kaminsky is MCL tear, out indefinitely. They say maybe could be back for the playoffs, deep in the playoffs, but that's it. So he's basically done. That's a big-bodied, nasty interior player. I can hear some of you already out there, but look, he wasn't even good last year. Yeah, what about the year before where he was real good? What about this guy's mentality? What about the guy that can play inside and beat people up so the outside edge guys like Aiden Hutchinson could do work? I feel like a guy like Kaminsky absolutely unleashes Hutchinson.
Unleash Hutch.
So my opinion is they're going to have to replace him. Now, There's rumor innuendo about Ndamukong Suh being in the 313, putting out pictures. There's been talks by fans about how much they love to have him back. I mean, my quick take on Suh was I loved him his first couple years. Absolute beast. Unlike any player we had seen on the Detroit Lions for early on, then you could see he was all about himself. He's all about the money. Well, I was pretty glad he stomped on people because, you know, if you're smug, you're arrogant, you're pompous, you're a piece of crap like the guy he stomped on, you know, I didn't mind it at the time, but he just did a lot of things that were just out of bounds or were all about him. So when he left, like, all my buddies were crying, oh, you gotta pay him, oh, how could you let him go? It's like, because he wanted $100+ million and he's a defensive tackle that gets 5 sacks a year. That's why. So I was fine to let him go, and in that same realm, I'd be fine to bring him back at a very cheap veteran minimum deal and have him come in and try to wreck shop for 1 year and play a role and be part of this thing if he wants to be, because he has that nasty mentality, because he's still, from what I know, a physical specimen. But if he's beat up, doesn't love football anymore, doesn't want to do it, we don't want him. But if he's got a fire inside of him and he could fill kind of a Kaminsky-ish type role, I wouldn't be opposed. I'm sure there's almost better players that aren't working at the bowling alley, but it's something to consider. But it's kind of disappointing to see Kaminsky get hurt in that way so early, but this happens, you know, absolutely happens. So we're going to keep this show rolling. We got lots of other things to talk about. Again, I just want to remind everybody you can hit me up on Twitter at Derek Okrie. The only way to spell it, DerekOkrie. Love talking Nines, love talking Michigan Wolverines, fantasy football. I mean, I'm absolutely loving fantasy football this year. Just done so many drafts. Shout out to Scott Fishbowl. Got to get in that for the first time. About to start my Pro Football Focus draft this week. I got an all-22 PFF all-22 rookie draft done a week ago. That was really fun. I could sit here, we'd be done with the show if I named off all my leagues, but shout out to all my people in RSO, Reality Sports Online leagues. We'll be doing that up big. Hopefully the Okrie Lions will be able to win a Super Bowl this year in one of those. But yeah, hit me up for sure. And love when you guys talk about the show, do the Kool-Aid gimmicks. Always hit it with hashtag Kool-Aid gimmicks, hashtag Detroit Koolaid Cast. Drink it in. All that stuff is tremendous. But let's get to the other big news. There's a couple big news items, but this one really caught me off guard. I've got takes, I've got thoughts, and that's the Taylor Decker extension. 3 years, $60 million. Came out of nowhere. I think Brad, always open for business Holmes, just casually mentioned it on a 97.1 The Ticket interview in the morning, and they were like, whoa, huh, what? And to me, I kind of just don't understand it because Taylor Decker loves it here. I get it. He's been a really good left tackle. People can put all these other people in front of him and say what he can or can't do. This guy shows up every week, plays good football, does his job. Of course, he's like any player. He'll have a couple lapses here or there, but I'm not going to be the guy, like we've heard from a former host years and years ago on this show, put out every little nuance when it doesn't go well. I'm going to look at Taylor Decker and say, Taylor Decker is like a top quality left tackle. He does a lot right and a little bit that you would love better. Yes, did I have a vision of putting Penne over there in a year or two and having Manu on the right? Yeah, I did. So I feel like this is at first, I wanted to critique it, be like, why are you going to do that? We could move Penne, we could do this, we could have this nasty Samoan beast on each side, just physical monsters. But like, when the more I think about it, like the fact that Decker does love it here so much, he is a great leader, he's a quality player, you don't have to reteach him, he knows exactly what to do, he shows up every week, his teammates seem to love him. It just leaves everything in place, and you know NFL contracts. You see 3 years, 60. I guarantee Brad Holmes has a void year on that. I guarantee you could get out of this after 2+ seasons. So that keeps him here for 3 years. Basically 2 years of top level production while this team tries to go for it. And then that third year you can play around with moving people around. If he's not living up to expectations, he could probably be a very solid swing tackle backup. You know, he can continue to coach up Manu as he continues to grow and you know, get ready to play on this football team. So I love it. I think it's another example of this regime just saying, if you show up, you ball out, you play well, we're going to take care of you. And they kind of don't live on potential and maybes and what ifs and I hope. They look around and say, who's playing great football for us? Who's a great locker room guy? Who's someone that we can trust? Who's a guy that we need to keep this train rolling for the hashtag Goff train? And that's Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, who I just mentioned as our quarterback, and Amon-Ra. Those are the guys they have identified that they want to pay. And why? Because they show up, they're great people, they do their jobs, they ball out, and they've earned it. And that's awesome. So side topics to it, like, you know, does this impact Aleem McNeil, a.k.a. Honey Bun, a.k.a. Twinkle Toes, a.k.a. formerly Plump, a.k.a. current Big Slim, a.k.a. The Dream, Aleem the Dream? I don't know. I mean, NFL, they get crazy with their salary cap, so I feel like they're going to be able to keep Aleem McNeil as well. Just depends when and how, but I would love to keep him around. I think it was Jeff Risdon and others saying he's the MVP of this training camp. Aleem McNeil, the guy is ready to go. He's balling. He says everything right, does everything right. He's can be a pass rusher now because of the other big bodies they have inside. So you definitely don't want to let Aleem McNeil walk and just think you can get him any day of the week, because he's showing up to be a very unique specimen with his size, power, and again his character. So you gotta love that as well. Let me go to the kicker real quick, because the great Natalie Sparbeck on Twitter put out, you know, she's basically done with the Jake Bates experiment. And I was like, what? Like, where's this coming from? Like, last thing I heard, Jake Bates was booming field goals, and Dan Campbell says he likes his mentality, his approach. He's got a big leg. Like, what's the problem here? And then the more I scrolled down the Twitterverse, it was like, oh, he missed 4 or 5 field goals in 2 days in practice. He missed yanking 20, 30 yarders. He's missing extra points. He's not consistent whatsoever. That's not good. But here's the thing. I don't understand why everybody's want to throw this guy overboard already. He's in like his 8th day of his first NFL training camp. He didn't kick in college. He had some ups and downs in the UFL, but what did we bring him here for? To boom long field goals and to, you know, be in competition with Badgley. Badgley is out for the year. People are like, oh, you got to get more kicker competition. He might be gone by the time you touch down in New York for joint practices. Like, hold on, man. Like, I'm not putting Jake Bates in the Hall of Fame by any means, and I think that, you know, you can have kind of a short leash, or most GMs and coaches do with kickers, but can we let this guy sort of settle in, let him work in the preseason, see what he does, maybe have a few more practices? Or are we just going to flip out because he missed a few kicks in practice, you know, on a hot, you know, Wednesday, and you're ready to move on to some other kicker that's shining shoes at the bowling alley? Like, no, I think you can bring in competition if you want. If there's a better guy, go for him, but at least give the guy some shot in preseason, give him an opportunity to show what he can do, and also you still might have something special in this guy. I hear he's booming like 55-yard field goals with 10 yards of extra yardage on it. Like, that's a special talent. We know Dan freaking Campbell isn't going to kick little dinky field goals anyway, and he's going to watch this guy, and if he's inconsistent, he's going to play to his strengths. You know, he's going to kick where he thinks he needs to. He's going to go for it all the time anyway. So I think people just need to calm down about the kicker. Speaking of calm down, Hashtag Jamo Fast hype is crazy right now. And I'm not telling people to calm down, but I'm just saying that hashtag Jamo Fast, like the hype, I know like Lamborghinis are fast. I know you like to go to the fast checkout when you're at the store. But the way that people went from like talking about Jamo, like he's just a side piece, or he's a deep threat only, or he's, is this guy going to work out? Is he going to wash out? The hype with him and the excitement and the expectations went up. Hashtag Jamo Fast, real fast. Because you start hearing he's doing better, he's making some plays, then you hear he's getting hyped, then you see a few highlights. Now every day at camp you hear that this guy is showing up, doing big things, balling out, and I absolutely love to hear it, man. We need it. This guy we traded up like 20-some picks to get this guy, number 12 overall. He has unique talents. He's swaggy as could be. He's gritty and grimy, and he's also the fastest man on the planet. So, yes, send him deep on corners and flags and any type of deep route. But let's get him on those comebacks, those slants, those deep overs. And let's really use this guy. So he seems like he's really dedicated. Everyone seems to love what they say. And here's my caution, though. What is the best out of Jamo? If he doesn't come out like the first couple weeks and have, a big game or big touchdown, are people also going to go Jake Bates on him? Be like, where's Jay? Why isn't he doing anything? I can't believe this. The guy's still going to be hit or miss to some degree, and I still put his best of his best at like, anywhere between 700 and 1,000 and, 4 to 8 touchdowns. Yes, it's 17 games, so you would hope that he could be in that 800 plus. Some people are giving him 1,010 touchdowns. Like that'd be out of this world. But also, do I see hashtag Jamo Fast getting like 120 and a tug or two? Do I see him getting like multiple 50-yard plus touchdowns this year and just getting forward field going crazy? Absolutely. So the hype is crazy. I love his attitude. I love the work ethic. He's going to have to stay healthy, as we always say, which means, he's just going to have to like do the right things, keep his legs healthy, keep his body right. He's still not the biggest guy in the world, but I'm really ready for it, man. I think he is going to ball. I think he's in a great headspace, and the hype train is off the tracks right now, but like, make a couple plays in preseason, put this guy on ice, and then just unleash him against the Rams and every other team that comes in or that we play this year. It'd be incredible. So the last item before we get to our great commercial sponsors is, just some quick hitters. So word is, like, it's kind of crazy that BB, my boy, Brian Branch, was back so early. You thought they'd probably slow play him. He's on his little scooter. He says, we'll see when I'm ready. What was it, like day 2? He was off the quote-unquote pup list, back rolling, back out, playing a lot of safety. Seems like that's where they're going to play him. Him and Kerbo back at safety. Iffy and, other players kind of in that chess piece role, moving around, playing the slot, things like that. And that's exactly what I told you I hoped for and expected. So absolutely love it. I think I saw a piece somewhere where they said Brian Branch could be the best defensive player on this football team. I don't discount that either. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Move him all around. Would love to see him use his instincts, get his hands on the football. I feel like him and Kerbo just going to have so many good instinctual plays, whether it be on the football or coming down and making plays. It's going to be really fun to watch. You got my boy Brian Branch, who's just kind of like, that cerebral assassin. Shout out SummerSlam coming up here tonight before I'm recording earlier on a Saturday. Shout out to my tribal chief, Solo Sokoa. My boy Brian Branch is going to be the tribal chief of this defense. He's going to run things, he's going to make all the calls. But him and Kerbo, so you got Branch, who's just going to make plays, do all the right things, and you got Kerb, who's got all the swag, gets his hands on footballs, talks a lot of smack, comes up, make tackles, does his thing. So that's a fun combo right there. Next item I wanted to hit, you guys have heard me calling Marcus Fattenport here on this show. cracking on him about his weight, his stupid haircut, the fact that this guy looks like a lazy bum, and everyone's saying how great he's going to be. Even PFF has him like as some breakout star for the Lions. Well, I'm still very skeptical across the board. I still think he's a little bit out of shape, a little lazy, but he did get his hair trimmed up tight. He's got this tight cut now, and he does look more like an athlete, more like a serious human being. I think he is still wearing a nose ring, which is kind of odd for a big, nasty defensive football player. But his teammates continue to say that they love his mentality. They kind of describe him of like those Lions guys we've had in the past who just say they're going to blow up everything. They're going to physically beat up everybody, and they're going to just wreck shop. I guess that's what people keep saying about Mark Davenport. I'll call him by his government name. Like, I'm curious to see it. You know, I think that his lack of production for years and just his odd mentality may just show itself. But if he could be a big-time contributor and a physical, nasty monster on the outside and maybe even slide in or do some things on the D-line, I'd be all about it. But that's TBD if you ask me. We'll see. But I hope he plays well. Next one, DJ. That's my DJ. Might miss the first game of the season and more. DJ.
Go DJ. That's my DJ. Go DJ. Yeah.
I can't have that, big man. I need this guy in the middle of this defense. I need him balling. We paid him. He was one of our big free agent acquisitions. I can't have you with a towel around your neck over there with Gatorade for 4 weeks of this season. Yeah. But we just need him later for the playoffs and for... No. Like, we need DJ Reader for at least 10 to 12 plus games. If not more. You know, we didn't pay him to take the first quarter of the year off, slowly work his way in, and then by mid to late in the season be the guy that we hoped for. So, DJ, that's my DJ. Get better soon. I hope to see you against the Rams. If not, the next couple weeks after that. Of course, I know he had a serious injury. He needs to heal up. He's a great leader. He's already working on other football players, but we need you. Let's ball. Let's get going, my man. Can't wait to see his big body, nasty mentality in a Lions uniform. And that leads me to my last point here before the commercial break, and that's Broderick Martin. Sounds like DJ Reader has been in his ear, has been watching cut-ups, has been helping him, has been teaching the big man. I think there was video that came out of Broderick Martin pulling tractor trailers in his backyard, which was odd, kind of on so many levels. But I guess that shows that he's strong. I'd kind of like to see him more at the Planet Fitness working with the normal weights and putting up nasty benches and squats than pulling big tractors in his suburban backyard fenced-in area. But, you know, to each their own, I guess. But Broderick Martin is another guy who says he's going to wreck shop, he's going to blow people up, he's ready to go, he's in better shape, all this stuff. It's like, all right, man, let's see it, because some of these guys aren't going to have a big role based on the talent of this team, but if you have rotational guys of DJ Reader, Aleem, and a Broderick all motivated, ready to go, that's obviously nice and very helpful. If you have a Davenport, Ballin, Hutch, a healthy James Houston, and others, great. Would I love a Matthew Judon, like I said a week or two ago? Yes. You know, would I love Brad Holmes to dip in and maybe add Sue in the middle there to add even more beef and more nasty? Yes. Will he do any of those? Probably not, because he likes to kind of just sit there and let it roll until he has to, and then he makes a shrewd move that makes us all happy. So I'm really excited to see Broderick Martin. I still do think, just like I said on draft day, that he has the body of a Jordan Davis from Georgia, but I wasn't blown away when I pulled up his tape highlights where he just looked like he was playing way too high, didn't look very explosive, and was just kind of there for, Western Kentucky, I believe is where he went. But Dan freaking Campbell and Brad Always Open for Business Holmes absolutely love this guy. They were doing cartwheels in the draft room, acting like they just got the next absolute phenom of football in the late third round, when most people were like had him in the sixth. So, you know, I got interesting expectations, not high at this point. Also, like, you hear all these guys say they're ready to roll, they're in the best shape of their life, they can't wait to ball out, and then it's like, show me. So he'll be another guy to watch in preseason games and see what he does. Hopefully he pops, makes a few plays. Again, he's not even a guy that you're going to get a lot of sacks explosive from. Like, hold your point, make the plays in the run game, be a great teammate, be that physical beast where if somebody wants a scrap in the middle, Broderick Martin's in the middle of that scrap, getting ready to throw down, protect his teammates, things like that. Like, I guess Derek Barnes has been doing in training camp, fighting everybody that has a problem with him, with anybody. Derek Barnes, the nicest guy ever, has been throwing hands, I guess, and getting after it. So that's the kind of role I expect from Broderick Martin. But everybody, let's take a quick break. After the break, we got rookie recaps. I'm going to talk about some training camp battles. I want to talk about Manu and Vaki. And then I'm going to end the show with hype and Kool-Aid and cornbread, like I always do. Everybody, I'll be right back. All right, everybody. This goes out to my fantasy football fans out there. Now, you probably heard about Reality Sports Online, the most powerful fantasy sports platform where owners can build and manage their fantasy team like a real NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried it? We're talking free agency, multi-year contracts, rookie drafts, multi-team trades. You can put franchise tags on guys. It's as close as you're going to get to being an NFL GM. But do you think it sounds complicated? It's not. I'm here to tell you it's the best thing about Reality Sports Online is it's just more fun than your normal fantasy league, but it doesn't take barely any more time. After all this, are you still not sure? Come on now. You can test your general manager skills by going over to Reality Sports Online, call it RSO. Please go check out realitysportsonline.com right now. Kool-Aid drinkers are back. Thank you so much for joining the show, being patient with me this week. I told you I'd get you a show over the weekend. You'll probably be hearing this either Saturday, Sunday, depending on when I drop it. I still got a bunch of things I got to get rolling after I stop the old recording here, but try to get this out to you. As well as, like I say, if you're about to do a fantasy draft, like, hit me up on the Twitter machine and let's talk some ball. If you're fired up about Michigan football, like I know Go Blue Lexi 117 is out there, out on the Twitterverse. Was it 117? I don't know. I can never remember her total handle, but just throw Go Blue Lexi in the old Twitterverse. You'll see her out there talking mad trash and Michigan Wolverines. I know she's ready to roll. And so many others. National champs, by the way. I have to keep reminding everybody, especially my Sparty friends, people that I come across each day, that hashtag national champs, in case you forgot. The best team in the nation. People acting like we're going to win 8 games or something this year. I expect them to come out rolling, balling, physical defense, big smash mouth run game. Will Donovan Edwards be good, or is he the slug that I saw last year where he didn't do anything except a couple big runs when it counted, which really helped us. That was awesome. But can't wait to watch college ball. Just did a college football fantasy draft on Fantrax, which is so much fun. Team's absolutely loaded with talent. Can't wait to see how I do in that one. I've been in the championship all 3 years. Only have one championship to show for it, unfortunately, but I'm trying to make it 4 years in the title game. Let's get another chip this year. Make it 50% of titles in that league. That'd be tremendous. But enough about that. Let's get this rolling. Let's keep talking about those Detroit Lions. Gosh almighty, they're just hyped up about the Super Bowl. Quick shout out to Stash and the ATL for coming on the show last week. I had so much fun talking with him, laughing with him. If you didn't hear that episode, you got to go back and check it out. I'm doing a lot of solo shows. We're going to have Joey Christopoulos at Joey Sports Guy on Twitter coming on here talking about his Chicago Bears, NFC North, debating with me about the Lions, talking about the NFL in general, and as well as Logan Lamorandier from Sports Illustrated All Lions. And there may be a return of the one and only at Chops in the D once we get our schedules, everything figured out, as well as when's the time? That's like a good wrestling return. Like, when is the time? When's the moment? You gotta watch, you gotta tune in each week to see when will Okri and Chops reunite here on the pod. When will we get back to beating each other up, playing his gimmicks, talking about golf for 30 minutes every show? I mean, it's bound to happen at some point, but I'm not guaranteeing it. It's TBD if you ask me, but we'll see. But I hope and think it'll happen soon. You got to tune in and check it out. So again, as I was just saying, let's get to the Lions. You guys want to hear about football? Rookie recap. Terrion Arnold's that dude. I think I've said that multiple times on the show. I'm going to continue to say it. I love this guy. This reminds me, and I say this, but I really mean it with Terrion Arnold. I did not know his personality, his swag, or just like who this guy was in the draft process. Had I known, he probably would have been a top 10 player on my board. Because there's just something about guys in the NFL that it's not even a cockiness or a look at me. He now has no fear. I see all of his teammates loving him, even his over-the-top fun and swag and the things he does. I don't see it rubbing anybody the wrong way. He's just built right, man. Physically built right, mentally, and a dude that just loves his teammates, loves football, loves life, and is gonna... nothing is too big for this kid. So I don't care if he's CB2 or if he's got to work his way to some degree. Like, this guy is great. He's gonna get burnt. Yes. He'll even be roasted, toasted, extra crispy at times. But Terrion Arnold is a perfect corner for the Lions and just a great guy in all areas and levels. I love him so much. He's probably a top 5 Lion for me right now on this football team. Just based on every time I tune into a training camp, they just say how much he's out there fighting and working, and you see him in all these interviews having a great time. I see his YouTube, all of his friends love him. Just like a guy that you just love to root for. So Terrion Arnold looks to be that guy. Enos Rakestraw, a lot of people were throwing this guy out early. Oh, he's not very special, he's just another guy. Then the pads come on and Rake is just out there balling, hitting people, being physical, bumping people at the line. I think he got 3 picks in 3 days, in practice. So he's not only coming into his own. All of you people that want to make these early determinations and these outlandish thoughts based on like 2 or 3 practices in shorts, like Rake puts on the pads and comes after you physically, and the more he gets comfortable, the more this guy's going to ball. And do I think he needs to be out there like moment one, day one? No, but do I think this is the type of kid with his nasty mentality, his physicality, and just his willingness to play that's going to be out there and be impactful sooner than you would think, than most people would think that have that kind of negative, pessimistic, wait-and-see attitude? Yes, I do. I like this kid a lot, no doubt about it. 3rd round pick, which we didn't have because we got the Carlton. I mean, you guys know him on this show, right? The Carlton. I mean, he's going to be doing that dance as soon as week 1 against Matty Stafford.
It's not unusual to
I cannot wait to see Ford Field doing the Carlton dance after a pick. Could the Carlton number 23 even pick one to the house in week 1? That'd be tremendous. I mean, I know that's high praise because it's really hard to get interceptions and pick sixes, but he's been doing great from what I've heard. That's basically our 3rd round pick, Carlton Davis, the vet corner, CB1 on this team. Then you go to the 4th round, Gio Manu and Vaki. These guys, I mean, I said I was going to talk about them later, but I'll just talk about them now. I haven't heard many good things about Gio Manu, not even like little splashes where he just ragdolls someone or he does something physically impressive. And a lot of that's expected, but you take a guy kind of in that, where was it? I want to say it was like the mid-4th. And a lot of people, even these draft experts, I've been watching that Hard Knocks New York Giants on HBO Max, people make the draft like it's this hardest thing ever, and how could you get like more than 35 or 40% right? You know, the GM saying, I don't know what's going to happen in free agency. It's just so unpredictable. Like, I look at that and I just say, like, I bet you I could draft. I bet you I could sign some free agents. Like, it doesn't look like rocket, brain surgery or rocket science to me. But, you take a guy in the mid-4th round, even based on his physicality, his size, his upside, you would like to hear a couple better things at this point than, he's not really looking the part. He's offside. He's a false start. He's just he's getting used and abused by like the 4th, 5th D end. So I'm still high on Gio from a physical perspective, and like that they're bringing him along, whether it be slowly or not. But I kind of would like to have a few better reports than, Manu didn't look good again at practice, but they're going to redshirt him in 2 years. He's going to be an absolute monster. Like, I mean, that's our hope still, but we'd like to see better things. And the things I've been hearing about Vaki is like, Vaki's a guy who, they like him in the room. They say he's a funny guy. He's a hard worker. But I hear a lot of times that, of course, next to Jahmyr Gibbs, who, if you're new to the show, or in case you didn't know, which you should know, he's a multi-dimensional, positionless. Wait for it. Elite weapon. Of course, next to that, he's going to look slow. He's going to look like plodding. But the reason they got Baki is because he's a, quote, football player, and he's a guy that can maybe help on this new kick thing that's going on in the NFL, which... Is anybody out there with me? Like, did the NFL overthink this kick revision? To me, it's very convoluted, very gimmicky. Do I like the fact that there might be more returns, or that we could put Gibbs or Jamo or Vaki or Khalif or whoever back there and maybe make a big play? I mean, yes, but this whole safe zone and dynamic kick and this and that, like, I don't know. There's a lot of rules going on with that. And again, it had been really annoying because who wants to see, just kicks go out of the end zone every time? I do think that kept a lot of guys healthy, because when they used to have the old kick rules, I felt like every few plays, every few kicks, you just like continually had people getting seriously hurt. Whereas at least when it was kicked out of the end zone, it was just wind sprints for those guys. They could just run down, get a nice jog in and would not get hurt, not have to have those collisions like they used to have. But this new kick, I mean, I do think the collisions will be less speed, which is good. But if I watched it at the Hall of Fame game, it was odd. It's like more of a condensed running play. Everyone's tied up there within a couple yards of each other. Everyone's trying to hand fight. And if you can break through that first line, it feels like you're gone to the house, is what I took from it. So, can Vaki do that? I mean, we'll see. He did come down with a shoulder injury, which is never good for a running back, or a quote-unquote safety like he was for a lot of his college career. You don't want to have that shoulder banged up. Even a shoulder that you come back from, that could linger, that could get banged up again pretty easily. So, not so sure about that. Let's move through these rookies again real quick. Wingo's getting a lot of love. Mekhi Wingo from LSU, the defensive tackle, smaller guy, but real great leader, real great football player, determined guy. A lot of guys seem to really love him and think he's going to come into his own. And I can't talk about the defensive tackles without getting this in, can I, here on the show? Big Denim. Levi Onwuzurike, my boy. Did I have him as my pick in the high second round that year when they took him? No. Have I been continued supporter? Yes. Did I maybe say on a show weeks or months or longer than that ago that Levi might be done and be headed to the bowling alley working the ball return or the checkout line or the also popular ball shining job there at the bowling alley. I may have said something like that, but gosh almighty, like if you got Wingo who can be a depth player on this team, and the rumor innuendo is true about Levi, aka Big Denim, just being one of the best defenders on this team per Dan Campbell, him being back physically, this guy being just, oh my gosh, just healthy and physical and nasty and ready and back to what they expected when they took him. Oh my goodness, that would be so big for this team, so fun to watch. I mean, he's supposed to be a guy that's come in and wreck shop. So if you have a lean DJ, that's my DJ, Broderick Martin, Big Denim, Makai Wingo, and we can move Hutch inside, and you've got other players like my boy Josh Pascal who can play inside, outside. Like, those are some physical, nasty, first off the bus type football players. So I absolutely love that. And then the last rookie on my rookie recap is my boy Christian Mahogany, who I think I would have taken, in the third, fourth round when I did my live picks this year. You guys know what it is. If you didn't hear that, go back in the archives. You can hear my live picks. No, wait until a week later. No, I told you so 5 years later. As it's happening, sitting here in the DTO scouting office at my house, making picks. Again, I could probably do it better than the Giants GM, I'm pretty sure. I took Mahogany way earlier, but the Lions couldn't believe they got him where they got him, right? Because he's just a nasty, physical, interior football player. But where is he? What is going on? Does Christian Mahogany have some type of health ailment that may not even be injury related? I mean, I'm not saying that's the case because I don't know. I'm asking the question because everyone won't really say where he is or what's going on. I guess why he dropped is there were health, physical concerns. I hope it's nothing serious. I hope this guy can play. We don't need him right at this moment, so even if it is something pretty serious, we can definitely put him off to the side and redshirt him. But I love him to be healthy and be a depth player that can be active on game days as a swing interior football player on this team. Yes, I would absolutely love that. So that's the rookie roundup here on the Koolaid Cast. Let's talk about these training camp battles. I already talked about Jake Bates. I mean, again, I think he will have competition, but I do think that unless something crazy or a vet gets cut that they absolutely love, I'm fine to go with this young cat. See what he has. I mean, I don't think he's going to cost us football games by missing all over the place. I think if he got too crazy with it, he'll be replaced. But, hey, you miss a couple kicks here or there, but you make a couple 55-yarders that help us win, call it a wash. I'm good with him. Hendon Hooker as the QB2. My boy H2O, Hendon Hooker. Like, a lot of people beating him up, too. Like, just every practice. Oh, he had a couple bad throws. Oh, he didn't look so great. Oh, he threw a pick in the red zone. It's like, the guy's in his second year coming off that serious injury and learning a new offense and kind of coming to his own. I also saw where he threw a nasty seam ball and just made that happen and made some other plays. So I think I had heard somebody that, again, I'm not trying to, I can't even remember who it was exactly, but they were like, I'm going to go with Nate Sudfeld as my QB2. I'm like, huh? What? No. Like, Hendon Hooker would have to be terrible or hurt or both. Wasn't there, like, something that came out that he's still kind of recovering from, like, Hendon Hooker, that is, from, like, a finger or some type of injury that's kind of holding him back? Like, I mean, if that's the case, then okay, maybe, but we don't need to see Sudfeld or any of these other bums that we've seen before. We need Jared Goff, hashtag Goff train, is CB1, balling out, confident as ever, which he seems to be. And then we need my boy H2O, Hendon Hooker, as CB2. Let him learn. And then what a tremendous transition plan it could be. Yes, I know he's a bit older, but I could see Hendon Hooker being CB2 for 2-3 seasons while Jared Goff's massive $53 million deal comes and goes, and then it's a smooth transition into a Hendon Hooker from what he'd probably be 28, 29 at that point. Have Hendon Hooker as our quarterback at 28, 29 for 2, 3, 4, 5 years even, and then roll in another rookie or another exciting player at that point. Like, that's a nice setup for this football team, and you could have that. I know people don't want to hear it, but the Packers keep doing it, so you could have that Jordan Love-ish type thing where it feels like he's seasoning too long. Everybody wants a new hotness. Everybody's going to tell you what he can't do because he's not out there. But then all of a sudden, Jared Goff rides into the sunset after 3-4 seasons. We win a Super Bowl or two. We make some great memories with this team. And then, boom, number 2, H2O, Hendon Hooker is in there for the next 3-4 plus years. Absolutely balling, knows the offense, super smart, can make the throws, can throw it deep, do all the things you need to do. So I expect that. Just roll with Hendon Hooker at CB2 right now, please. Like, I feel like that needs to happen. The other camp battle that's kind of out there, I mean, there's a lot of them when you talk about, like, who's going to be that slot corner, who's going to be CB2, who I already broke down the safeties for you, who's going to be a depth tight end, things like that. But for me, it's like how these linebackers going to shake out, because there's a lot of high expectations for Jack Campbell. Oh, wait, I guess I should do the gimmick on the show. Revord! Revord, to me, is a guy that is ready to ball. He's physical. He called himself the least swaggiest player in the National Football League. I'd agree with that, too. But he wears big belt buckles, white T-shirts, doesn't get haircuts. All he does is make tackles. All he does is love the game of football. So I'm hoping he takes that big leap. But Derek Barnes ain't going anywhere. Derek Barnes has been everywhere. He's in a contract year. He's big and physical. He had a really nice year last year. Anzalone will be shifting around, whether he's playing the will linebacker or the middle. You got Revord, who I just mentioned. You've got Barnes. You've got depth players in Rodrigo. That was the live version, by the way. You got him out there. You've got Jalen Reeves-Maven still on the football team, ready to make some reps. So how's that going to shake out is kind of one of my camp battles. Who are going to be those real dependable play-making linebackers? Going to be fun to watch. And I can't wait for it. So that's kind of my very quick camp battles. Of course, there could be some others, but I want to keep this show pretty tight for you guys. I try to keep it in that, I always tell myself like 35 range. It always ends up being 40, 50 minutes is usually what happens on this show. I can't stop talking Lions football. It comes so easy. I turn the mic on, I talk ball, hit a few gimmicks, and you drink that Detroit Koolaid. So, again, hopefully seeing Manu and Vaki kind of step up. But, again, it's not realistic for every rookie to ball or be ready to roll. So we need to remember that, too. Of course, we love Brad Holmes' draft classes and draft picks. But, hey, man, if it takes them a little bit longer, no problem. Just, let it roll a little bit. Let it some of these guys come into their own. Hopefully Mahogany's healthy. But Vaki and Manu could be players down the line that are good. It doesn't have to happen moment one. And I'll end the show with this, kind of like I started it. I absolutely love hearing this football team and all their players not shy away from, we're not trying to make the playoffs. We're not worried about winning the division like we were last year, even though that's the first goal, obviously. We have one goal in mind, and that's to get in the playoffs, make a deep run, and make it to the Super Bowl. Anything else short, they have said sort of is a failure, is a disappointment. I wouldn't go that far. I think that one thing I'd like to see is just a very exciting, great season. Could it be derailed based on injuries and outside factors? That's always a possibility. So if that happens and they fall short, I wouldn't call that a failure or necessary disappointment. You would just look at the circumstances and realize why. If they do stay healthy and they do ball and they do have a similar season to last year and make that run and get home field throughout, yeah, the expectation would be take that next step if you can and make that run. But if they make another magical fun run in the playoffs and they don't happen to be one of the last teams standing in the Super Bowl or the last team winning the trophy, I'm not going to call that a failure. I'd call that another great season. But it's tremendous to have high expectations. I hope a lot of you guys out there are getting excited for your games, the tailgates, again, preseason football. You'll be hearing this week. Next Thursday, 6:30 p.m., I believe, is when they kick off Lions, Giants. I mean, that is always so exciting, but then I don't know why. You would think it'd be fun for a football junkie like me to watch all the depth players and see these guys out there, but it's just not football. It's like half speed, no one cares. None of the big dogs are ever out there doing anything. So it's preseason football in the NFL to me is very disappointing and very hard to watch. But it's football. It's Lions football. You see the new uniforms out there. A couple weeks, people will get in Ford Field against the Pittsburgh Steelers and see their home team again. And then we'll get the Rams in prime time on Sunday night to kick off the season. So I hope everybody gets excited about it. I hope you guys rep the pod all year long. Drink that Detroit Koolaid with pride.
Drink it in, man.
Tell your friends you got to have a side of cornbread.
Cornbread.
And when they only cook up one or only put one on their plate, you tell them you got to make a double.
Cornbread.
It's all about the positivity, the excitement. And for me, with everything that's going on, both life, personal, but also just loving football the way I do, I just cannot wait to continue to bring you this pod, continue you guys to enjoy it. Love having all the different listeners, the gimmicks. Always appreciate the support. If you want to donate to the show, we love that. If you want to rep the show, support the show, put a retweet, put a repost, whatever they're calling it these days. Give a like to the old message when I put it out. Again, help us share the pod with people that don't know about it. Always get a lot of great new listeners, great new people. Give me a follow on the Twitter machine. Give people that are just like, man, didn't know the Koolaid Cast was out there. Now I'm going to listen every week. Enjoy it. So try to bring it to you a little bit different. Don't take ourselves too seriously. Don't ask too much from the listeners other than you listen to the show, rep the show. And if you donate or you call the show on the Koolaid hotline, 989-272-3484, that's always tremendous. Again, I was going to try to go 30 minutes. I think I'm at like 50 minutes or so I'm going to get up out of here. But thank you again, everybody, for being patient with me, checking out the show. If you're a wrestling fan, hope you enjoy SummerSlam. I'm hoping Roman Reigns returns but gets put in his place by the new tribal chief, Solo Sikoa. I hope that there's some great matches, some great swerves, some great comebacks, surprises, all that stuff that we love. I've always been a wrestling fan in my life, but not as much as I love the National Football League and the Detroit Lions. So, everybody, that's what I got this week. I'll catch you next week right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. I'm out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over.
What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.